Welcome to another connection here on TKO8 Television. Dennis King, my co-host Tabitha Odegaard, is under the weather today. So she's got some of that virus that's going around, and maybe you may have had to deal with it, and she's having a little issue there, so she can't join us this week on the Connection Show. She'll be back next week. As always, we like to go out and get different entities to come in and talk about important things that are going on around the broadcast area, and we have two groups or two individuals today that's going to talk about I think something that we need to talk about here. The first thing we're going to talk about is recycling. Stay with us. We'll be back on Connection in just a moment.
Hi, this is Robin at McDonald's. We have some exciting news for our breakfast menu. That is a steak and egg burrito. It is a flat tortilla with a scrambled egg, cheese, and steak with Roja sauce. All wrapped up, they are delicious. Have one with an extra value meal with a hash brown and your favorite soft drink. During our breakfast hours at McDonald's of Harrison and McDonald's North, remember our drive-thru and dining room is open 24 hours a day where we love to see you smile. Steak Egg Burrito is here only for a limited time. Get one soon.
For 22 years, Harrison Parks and Rec has been making a positive impact on our local economy with the Community First Bank Sports Complex, the Brandon Burlsworth Youth Center, and the First National Bank Soccer Complex. A wide variety of sports tournaments are possible, and thanks to these quality facilities, teams, coaches, family, and fans from all around the state and region have helped boost our local economy by $2 million annually. Harrison Parks and Rec, making an impact for our kids and community.
Back on Connection here on TKO8 Television. Our first guest in the studio today has brought a lot of trash in with her. She is Melinda Caldwell. Thank you, Melinda, for coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, did you just pick all this stuff up on the way here, or did you carry that around with you?
You know, I got in my recycle bin. I generated all this at our house, and I thought I'd bring it in just to show everybody the things that can go in their new recycle bin.
Fantastic. I tell you what, before we get started, for those people who watch our show that are residents of the city of Harrison, we cover a lot bigger area than Harrison, but this is primarily, some of this is going to be for the residents of the city of Harrison. We're going to talk about the trash service, the changeover a little bit. Melinda, maybe you can clarify a little bit for the people that are watching. Obviously, people out in the county have not had to deal with it, or any other communities around us, but the recycling part is for everybody, and we're going to talk about that for everybody. So let's talk about the changeover in Harrison as far as the trash hauling service.
Right. It was time for the trash service to go up for bid.
Okay.
So the city council really wanted to have a trash service that was strong in recycling.
Okay.
So they spent about a year and a half working on creating a bid. Initially, the city wanted to get into the business of trash and recycling, and it ended up going out for bid, and Methven and Inland both submitted their bids. Inland came in at a cheaper rate.
Okay.
And so the city awarded the bid to Inland.
Okay.
So that's why we have this new service. And
well, anytime you have a changeover of any kind of service, particularly something that touches a lot of people, you're going to have some bugs in it. You're going to have a few issues, and I know we've had a few issues.
Yes.
What about so I've heard people out there say, well, you know, they're not picking my trash up on time.
Yes. As with any transition, and traditionally when you go from one hauler to another, there's going to be rocky bumps in the road, and there have been with this. Learning new routes, new drivers. Our trucks are automated. They have an arm that pick up the containers.
Okay.
So there's a learning curve on all that. There's also a shortage of containers, but we have our containers in. They're getting them delivered. I know the Wednesday and Friday routes are really big routes for them, so some folks might notice their trash was picked up in the morning and it's getting picked up later in the afternoon. They're still working it out, but it's getting better and better by the day. So I feel confident that in a year from now, we're going to be feeling real, and it's not going to take a year at all, but I mean, I think it's just getting better and better every day, and I appreciate everybody's patience, and I know the city council does too.
Another thing that I've heard on the street has been, okay, they've got each one has been given 2 trash containers, each residential customer.
Right.
Now, why is that largest container for recycling? The one with the gold top?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I know that's kind of a stumper because it's like, whoa, this is such a large container. The truth is, about 65 to 70% of what we generate in our household is a recyclable item.
Okay.
And what the City Council voted for was a very extensive recycling program. So you can recycle all plastics 1 through 7. Now, 1 and 2s are your typical soda bottles, milk jugs, but when you get through 3 through 7, you're looking at packaging. Like if you get a big package of water, the plastic that's wrapped around that water can go in your recycle bin.
Pick up that Dole bag. Now, what
Like
would that
this,
be? What
this is a romaine lettuce package. This
Okay.
can go in. This is packaging.
Okay.
And now the only thing is you cannot put food, you can't put contaminated packaging in your recycle bin.
Okay.
But all packaging, cardboard, junk mail, any bottle with a neck, any piece of paper that rips, can all go loosely
into that
in the big container.
You don't have to separate it. That's another
Absolutely
question.
not. No, they all want it to be loose because it's hand sorted.
Okay.
So they just want that to go in loose. Rinse it out, throw it in loose, and when you do that, including pizza boxes,
Okay.
the information that went out said pizza boxes were not recyclable in Harrison, but that is not true. They are.
Okay.
Just throw all that loose, and when you do that, you'll see that you will have much less trash.
Sure.
You really will, because really about 70% of what we throw away is recyclable. And the reason why we want to recycle is, whenever you throw something in the trash and it goes to the landfill, it costs a lot of money to create the landfill cell, about $1 million to even prepare the land for trash. Then once you put the trash in there, you have to, and the cell is closed, you have to babysit that trash for up to 30 years or more.
Wow.
And what happens in that cell is a liquid is created. It's called leachate. And it's got ammonia and phosphorus and all kinds of toxic chemicals that have to be properly processed. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at the costs of hauling leachate, about $1,000 every time a tanker truck leaves, maybe up to 5 times a week. When you look at the costs of that over 30 years and what's in that landfill cell is stuff like this that can be turned into another aluminum can,
Right.
or turned into a bumper to a car, or turned into toilet paper, that just doesn't make a lot of sense from a cost standpoint or an environmental standpoint for that matter. So that's why the City Council really wanted to be responsible with their waste diversion and provide everybody an opportunity to reuse what's reusable and throw away what really needs to be thrown away.
So really, I look at all the things that we have here that you've got sitting around here, and it's obviously not everything, but it represents some key areas like newspapers and magazines that you get, junk mail. How much junk mail? I get tons of junk mail.
This whole bag is my junk mail. That's
Okay.
just junk mail.
So that brown paper bag is just some junk mail that you've gotten that maybe you looked at it, maybe you didn't. You just stuck it in that bag and you're going to recycle.
Right, and what I do is I keep this in my house and I throw all my magazines, junk mail, newspapers in that bag, and then I just carry that out and dump it in the big container.
Gotcha.
Just to make it easy for me.
Right.
You gotta create something in your house to make it easy for you.
Okay.
To collect your stuff, whether it's a tub or whatever. But even I'm having to go pull stuff out of the trash because we have such a great service now. I got this cool present, and if you open it up, there's packaging in there that
Right.
things were wrapped in. I'm just going to throw that in the
Right.
recycle bin.
Sure. And so you've got all that can be recycled.
All of it.
Now, okay, I don't see something there that a lot of people get. What about glass?
Glass, I'm so glad you asked. Glass is recyclable, but it cannot go in the recycle bin because people are hand sorting it. And you don't want the people processing to cut their hands.
Okay.
There is a glass drop-off open top at our inland drop-off center.
Okay.
And that's off of Cottonwood Road up by up at the old UNFI location.
Okay. So they have a container for glass
Yes.
that you can drop off there.
Yes, and that they just need to deliver their glass there. We are seeing some glass in those containers, and it really puts people in jeopardy.
Sure,
getting
I can see
cut.
if they're hand sorting. and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. Before we had, under the Methven Sanitation, there was a recycle center on the bypass down across from Ben Eddings Auto Group. is that center still there? Is it still? I've heard people say, well, are they still operating that? And does Inland have their own recycle center?
Yes, Inland does. They do have their own drop-off center.
Okay.
And I don't think people have totally discovered it yet. But you go up Cottonwood Road
Okay.
and you turn right on the very last entrance.
Okay.
And it's kind of, there's a guard box there, so people are going to be like, what? But yes, there's signs. Turn in there and you can go to that location.
Okay.
And to make it easier, they have put a flyer in the bills that are going to be coming out for the city, so there'll be a map, and so people can find it.
Okay.
Now, I believe Methvin is still open. I really don't know what his long-term plans are.
Okay.
But I think at this point he is still receiving material as
Okay,
well.
so I guess they can actually use either one if they want to haul stuff to either place.
I think slowly things are moving to the Inland locations. So
Okay.
it would be good for people to kind of get that grooved into where that's located if they
Okay.
want to drop their glass off.
Okay.
Or any other stuff. Mulch is available out at the Inland location. Yard debris can be dropped off out at the Inland location. All those services are still in place.
I've heard people through the years, as recycling has become more and more and more favorable to do, and the reason why, and you mentioned about the landfill. Some things like plastic, like water bottles. Water comes in plastic. I mean, a lot of people are into health, and they drink water out of bottled water. If they just throw that in the regular trash and then it goes in a landfill, I've heard all kinds of stories about that. It takes, or will that ever deteriorate? Will that plastic bottle ever really go away?
It will, but it takes years. But what I think is very interesting is let's this bottle right here. If I fill that up with liquid up to right there, that's how much petroleum it takes to make this bottle.
Okay.
This bottle is made out of petroleum. It takes petroleum to run the company that makes
Sure,
it, to
sure.
ship it, and then to take it to the landfill. So throwing away fuel is what that is, basically. And this bottle, it will become carpet. The biggest buyer of water bottles in the United States is Mohawk Carpet.
Yeah.
So I bet you your carpet is made
Sure,
out of
I mean, yeah.
made out of bottles.
But that's great that we can recycle and make other things out of our trash, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's a mental thing. You just got to get used to
It
doing it.
really is, and I think about the generation before us. You know, that being resourceful and frugal and reusing what you can and putting patches on patches, and that's where what the kind of
Sure.
culture we were raised
Sure.
in.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like we could follow suit from that generation a lot and just put the stuff in the container that's been provided. It's so easy now. The city council has made it so easy for the town.
They really have.
And I know there's lots of people who are really excited, and I also know there are lots of people who aren't.
Right.
And I think if they'll just give it a try,
Yes.
just do an experiment and see, there'll be room in your trash can for your trash, and then you're going to see all this stuff that you'll end up buying. If you buy a car, the bumper on your car is
yeah.
going to be made out of this material.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it really is. Well, that's why I wanted you to come in today, Melinda. I know you're busy, and I know you've got to go from here to Springfield for a meeting, corporate, and you deal with a lot of different, with municipalities and corporations.
Right.
But that shows how important recycling is to everyone, and it is a major thing that everybody needs to get into.
Everybody is. You know, if you look at the corporate culture and the corporate world, they're all getting into what is in my trash and how can I
Yeah.
get this out?
Yeah.
Because they've discovered that it costs so much to throw it away,
Sure.
and it costs so much to take care of it for so long.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
we need to just make a move from being a throwaway society to just being a little more thoughtful, not only of what we buy, but how we get rid of it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming in so much today, Melinda. I hadn't seen you in a long time. You've obviously been very
I have
busy.
had my head in that recycle bin.
Hey, I got to tell you, that you're the first person that's come in to be on the show. She brought this big recycle bin, and she was carrying it in the front door, bringing trash into the studio. I said, "Can I help you?" She goes,
That's
"No,
right.
it's my business."
That's right. I'm always surrounded by it.
Melinda, thank you so much for coming
Thank
in,
you
and
so much.
hopefully we've touched some people and given them some information
Yes.
that will help them out there. Particularly if you live in the city of Harrison, remember the big gold top container is for recycling. If you haven't recycled, start. It's not too late. You can start anytime you want to. And as Melinda mentioned, you'll be surprised that smaller container will not fill up as fast if you put the recyclables in the big yellow top container.
That's
right?
exactly right.
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it very
Thank you
much, and
so
I
much.
know this has been great information for a lot of people.
Thank you.
Stay with us on Connection. We'll be back in a moment, and we'll talk with a lady about a place here in Harrison that's very important to a lot of people on Connection.
Healthgrades, the leading independent healthcare ratings organization in the nation since 1998, has named North Arkansas Regional Medical Center as a recipient of the Healthgrades Joint Replacement Excellence Award for 2012. NARMC is ranked among the top 10% of hospitals in the nation for joint replacement, for total knee replacement, for total hip replacement, and for hip fracture treatment. The best in care is right here at home. NARMC.
At First National Bank, we're making banking easier with free checking, secure online bill pay, Agri loans. We're meeting your financial needs. First National Bank offers what other big banks do, along with some things they don't. While we're big enough to provide you with the services you need, we're small enough to know your name. We offer our customers 8 convenient locations. Come see why First National Bank is the right bank for you. First National Bank, the right bank. Member FDIC.
Back on Connection here on TKO8 Television. Dennis King, my co-host Tabitha Odegaard, is under the weather today. We hope she gets feeling better before next week. She's kind of got that virus that's going around, and hopefully you haven't had it. But in our studio, our second guest today has to do with a location that maybe a lot of people don't even know about, but it's Kendra Conway. Thank you so much for being with us today,
Hi,
Kendra.
thanks for having
me. We tried
me.
to get together back a few months ago, and then I had to cancel on you, and you had something come up. We finally got you in here.
Finally,
We're going to talk
thank
about
you.
The Children's Charity Ministry. Okay, your location as far as the thrift store goes is in the Yonah Shopping Center. Is that correct out here? And what is, I mean, let's talk about it just a little bit. What is that?
Well, it is our thrift store. It's 1405 North Main, Yonah Shopping Center, but it's also, what a lot of people don't realize is in the back is where our charitable organization actually comes in. That's where we sack all of the food. We're basically a backpack program. But more than that, we're just trying to help kids in need through the schools. We do hygiene items, we do clothes, we do shoes, undergarments, food. Just the backpack part of it happens to be the biggest part of our program.
Okay, let's back up just a little bit. Okay, it's CCM. It's Children's Charity Ministry. So, are you supported by a group of churches, or by any type of? How are you get your money?
How do we get our money? Our thrift store.
Just through the thrift store.
But we also have some churches some churches send a monthly check, but we've got businesses that do monetary donations also. We've got some churches that, like I've got one church that sends 1,000 of one particular item every month. Like this month it was macaroni and cheese cups.
Oh, okay. They donate the products to
exactly.
you. Okay.
And then I've got another church that they do so many sacked lunches every month, and they provide the food themselves to do their part of it. So the way I look at it is we're a Christian organization, and we have many churches involved. And that's what we wanted. We didn't want any certain denomination. We just all love Jesus Christ, and that's who we're trying to serve. And that's the way it's coming together, and that's perfect.
Okay, well, so how long have you actually been, how long have you had the thrift store, I guess I should say?
The thrift store, about a year and a half now. At the new location, we've only been there 6 months. Since August.
Where were you prior to that?
We were up by the Dixie Cafe. I always almost say Dixie Stampede, Dixie Cafe.
Oh, okay. I don't know where you were in that building there.
A real tiny building.
Didn't have much space there. So who got this start? I mean, is this something that is a nationwide program or locally? Who started this up?
It's actually me and a good friend of mine. We started it. We started it at our church that we were at, and we were trying to get our families involved in doing charity work, and we didn't really feel like anything in town was exactly quite. There's great programs in town, but it was just nothing. We wanted hands-on. We wanted, our kids to be involved. And so then we got the church youth involved, and then from there it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now we've got several youth groups involved, and we have people that come down, after after school's out, and on Saturdays we've got families that come down, and they know what we do now, and they just say, hey, my family and I have a couple of hours. What do you have for us to do? It's really kid-friendly, kid-friendly.
Wow. So people bring, you get your thrift store is obviously, their thrift store in the Yonah Shopping Center is obviously very important because it allows them to make money because you price the stuff and people come in and shop and buy the so people donate the clothing, right, and shoes, and I'm sure what else. Do you what all do you have in there? Do you have
everything.
A little bit of everything?
Yeah, everything you mentioned, plus home decor items, furniture, anything and
Anything that
everything. You
people
never know
wanna
what
do.
you're going to find in there.
Really? Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's great.
That's good. And all of this is donated, and obviously you get to keep the proceeds from whatever's
Exactly.
sold there.
Yeah.
So then in the back side of the building is where you get the backpacks ready and so forth?
Yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. How do you do backpack? I know you're going from here today to one of the schools. So
Yeah.
where do you touch? How big an area did
Well,
you?
we're actually in 9 different counties. We go over as far as Carroll County that way. We go all
Okay.
the way to Eureka Springs. We go down to Johnson County, to Oark. We've got some preschools over in Baxter, Marion, those counties. We go down to Newton County. I mean, it's Boone County, but it's also 8 of the surrounding counties also.
The trade area, basically, of
Exactly.
Harrison is.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't know is that if you're a child in school and you're homeless, there's certain funds that the schools can tap into, you know, to help provide some of these needs. But if you're a child living in poverty, you know, you don't get that help with the funding. They can't apply, you know, they can't fill out the paperwork for that.
Okay.
So what we found was we started out just doing food, but then what we found with working with the schools, because we have a contact person at each school, sometimes it's a nurse, sometimes it's a counselor, sometimes it's a lunch lady. It just depends on, you know, who's in charge of their backpack programs.
Okay.
What we found is a lot of these people were buying stuff out of their pocket, teachers and stuff. I've got one school that every summer one of the nurses would go to as many yard sales as she could, and she would stock up on as many shoes as she could because she knew she was going to have to provide that many shoes, you know, for the following school year. And that's great that there's such caring people, but there needed to be an organization to where they could call and say, hey, I've got a child that needs food. I've got a child that, you know, their soles are out of the bottom of their shoes.
Okay.
Or I've got a child that's wearing the same pair of blue jeans every day, you know, and those are the kids that we help.
Okay. So in the backpack itself, what do you actually put the needs of that particular individual in that and take it to them, or how do you?
What we do, and we don't even put it in the backpacks. We actually use white plastic sacks,
All right.
and we give each child. These kids take the food home, and that's what they eat out of for the weekend.
Okay.
So we give each child 2 drinks, and then we give each child 4 snacks and 4 meal items. And it's got to be non-perishable. Sometimes it's just a case, you know, to where the family can't make ends meet, or they're not, you know, quite getting enough in food stamps to help them. But sometimes it's just, you know, the kids don't have anyone that, you know, cares. That is sadly sometimes the case. So we do non-perishable items that are easy for kids to fix, even as young as preschool, you know, that they can pop the top open. And
Okay.
snacks are super easy to come up with. There's so many healthy snacks, but
Sure.
it's hard with the meals, you know, without giving them the same stuff over and over every weekend.
I see.
But so we put 10 items in a bag, and then we know at each school how many kids they have a need for, and then they give each child a bag for the weekend, and that's how the child eats on the weekends.
Okay, so I understand now that what you were saying. What she's talking about the weekend. So the kids are in school, so they're on a lunch program during the week. Obviously,
Correct.
at the school furnishes lunches for
Right.
for children. So you got to feel like they're getting at least some nutrition during the week.
Right.
But once school's out and they leave on Friday and they don't come back till Monday, that's where you try to fill in. So you're
Exactly.
kind of filling the void between
Yeah.
what the schools are doing and what the family needs or what that child needs.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. And, you know, think about if you miss even 1 meal or 2 meals. If I don't eat all day and I don't, you know, if I don't have time and I don't eat supper till that night, I've got a headache, my stomach's starting to hurt, I'm feeling weak. So imagine a child that's not eating all weekend. I mean, imagine what they would come to school Monday morning feeling like. And that's who gets this food. These are the kids that, you know, normally have been in the nurse's office, you know, saying, some of them will tell, you know, the staff members, hey, I don't have any food in my house, you know, didn't eat anything all weekend. But sometimes it's just that they came into the office symptomatic, you know, with those stomach aches and headaches. And then whenever the person started questioning them more, it was that they hadn't eaten or not eaten enough.
Wow. So you obviously you have to work very closely with your contact person at these schools to know the
Exactly.
needs. I hate to ask this, but I know because of the economy today, a lot of people are really being stretched even more so than normal. I'm sure you're seeing the demand
Yeah.
over the last year or so increase dramatically.
Oh, definitely. We were just talking about that yesterday because there's several schools to where they've added more kids. They jump from 30 to 40, or they jump from 16 kids to 24 kids, And we're not the only backpack program out there. Some of these schools, we are the one that's their sole provider for food, but another thing, some of these have another provider, but like you said, due to the needs and demands, maybe they weren't getting quite enough food to last the whole month. So some of these schools, we go in and cover that last week or the last 2 weeks, and someone else is doing the first 2 weeks. But to my knowledge, in Northwest Arkansas, we're the only organization where they can pick up the phone and get the shoes and the complete hygiene items, which have shampoo, toothbrushes, toothpaste, soap, and combs, and we do the full bottles. Or just, hey, I've got a kid that needs a whole new wardrobe, they've got basically 2 outfits that they're wearing.
So you basically take the shopping list, so to speak, and put together a kit or put together whatever and take it to them.
We get their sizes.
Well, you really, okay, are you a paid staff member now? I mean, I know you started
this. I am, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was a volunteer. We were all volunteers for the first 2 years, and I'm actually a registered nurse, and I was nursing full-time and doing this first part-time and then full-time. And
wow.
Then the needs just started going up, and we were getting so many donations. So we thought, okay, well, we're getting so many donations, how can we have a steady income to help with these needs? So then we opened up the thrift store, and even for the first, 6 months, we still just volunteering. But now we're in actually over 50 schools in 9 different counties. And we've got 2 full-time staff members. One is at the store all the time. I'm at the store about a quarter to half the time, but most of the time I'm shopping for food or
taking it.
I'm delivering. Yes. Yeah, like yesterday, I was in Eureka. Today I'm going down to St. Joe and Leslie. Tomorrow we're going down to Jasper, Deer, and Oark.
Okay, fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we got a couple minutes left here, Kendra, and I'm really just amazed at what you're doing. I'm so glad you came in and explained to people what it's all about. I mean, the Children's Charity Ministry, first of all, we want to mention it's at 1405 North Main Street, and it's in the Jonas Shopping Center. You can't miss it there. Their hours, Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 5, and then Saturdays from 9 until 4:30. Their phone number is 870-704-8030. And I know that you always need more because you're giving away a lot more. So if somebody wants to call and say, what can we help you with?
Right.
Be it money or just bringing in food or clothes or whatever, I'm sure you would appreciate any help.
Any donations are appreciated for the store, and we are so fortunate. We get such good donations. I love our thrift store. I know I'm partial, but we really get a lot of good items in there.
Very good.
And we try to keep the prices low because we also want to help families that come in. We want to be able to focus on our cause, but also help people that come in because there's a bunch of people hurting out there financially right now.
Yeah.
We do have our 501c3, so monetary donations. Food is the biggest need, though. I'm not kidding you. I've probably been shopping 8 times already this week, and it's constant. We can't keep food on the shelves.
We're going to see if we can't get, by showing you on this show and talking to you today, hopefully people out there will watch the show and understand the needs. Go and help. Go by and ask Kendra and anyone out there, how can we help? Because you're helping a lot of people, and it's not just in Harrison, it's around the area. Thank you so much, Kendra, for coming in. I appreciate you telling us about it, and I want to stop in the store and see it out there. I know I go right by it all the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your great work and your dedication.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Kendra Conway, she's in here today talking about Children's Charity Ministry. Go by in the Jonas Shopping Center, see if you can help out, ask them what you can do, or volunteer your time. Thanks for being on Connection today. We hope we brought some information to your business or your home or wherever you may be. We do it every week, so tune in to us. We're your local station, TKO Channel. Have a great day.